Hi Stitchers, this is Linda. I'm Blue Horse Yellow Cow. It is April 12th, 2019. So, Happy New Year. I haven't been here since December, I think. Yeah, I don't know why, just life things, and Sarah, my daughter, and I did a video in December was the last, and we got quite a few dislikes, which we tell ourselves that it doesn't matter, and ultimately it doesn't, because we're not professionals. We're people in our houses doing stitching and talking to our stitching friends. But when you see that, anonymous dislikes are a twisted little power play, aren't they? It's just like, I don't have to tell you why, but I don't like you. So, I mean, I'll admit that it feels funny to see however many people don't like you, although several people have reversed the dislike, or at least erased the dislike. So I don't know what that's about, but I'm not too proud to admit that I felt like, well, maybe I shouldn't make videos. Maybe I don't have that much to say, but then I realized that I think my role on FlossTube is to make every other stitcher feel better about themselves, because you can be a slow stitcher and say, yeah, but Linda's slower than me. Or you can be a FlossTube video maker and say, wow, I haven't made a video in a month. And then you can go, but yeah, Linda hasn't made one in 4 months. So I'll take that role. I'll be the person who makes you feel like you're a little better. I don't know. Anyway, I'm here now. I'll start with the FlossTube brew review, which I think is the same beer that we had last time. And by the way, last time people commented about how many beers we might have had before the video. We had none. We were just being silly, and we had no plan. And I guess, I don't know what, but that was the story there, guys. We weren't drunk. We were just actually being us. So tonight I'm drinking, I think it's the same one I had last time, which has really become a favorite. It's Ballast Point Brewing from San Diego, although now they're all over. And it's Spruce Tip Sculpin IPA, which will probably be disappearing because I think this is a winter brew. But I've really been enjoying it all winter. It's got the pungency and bitterness that I love, but it's really well-rounded. So if you're not a super hoppy IPA fan, this while it is hoppy, it's also kind of rich too. So it's delicious. I'm gonna pour some, just a little, because I don't want to spill. Happy Friday. Oh, it's so good. Okay. So, in thinking back over those dislikes, I thought, well, maybe I'm too chatty, so I'm going to just address stitching first and chatting later. So anybody who doesn't want to see anything beyond stitching can just go away and not have to listen to me talk. But I love it when FlossTube friends, my stitchers, talk about their lives or just show more of their personalities. That's my favorite part, because otherwise, I don't know, why else are we here? So I'll throw all that at the end. Market, which, see, there, every other floss tuber has already covered long ago. So I won't go into it big time, except to say that I was doing really well on I have enough stash forever and way beyond. So this year I had decided that I would try to steer away from the FlossTube videos that talked a lot about market, and I would just really try to hold back and not go crazy at market. And I was doing very well. I really had no great desires, or hadn't gotten on anyone's pre-order until I listened to the Fiber Talk episode, which I'll link below to Fiber Talk, but most people know about them. The wonderful podcast, excuse me, the asthma, where Gary and Vanna went through their market picks. And I was listening to that one night as I was getting ready for bed. And it was like the walls broke and the flood came. And so I ordered quite a few things, same things everyone else has and beyond. So I won't go over that. Everyone's gone over that, 3 weeks ago. So I won't do that again. Instead, I'll talk about other things that I bought in addition to market purchases. So, excuse me, if the coughing gets bad, I'll stop. So I'll just call this purchases and plans. So the next, you'll see a finish that I did. That was one of the Songbird Garden series from Cottage Garden Samplings. And the next one that I want to do, I loved doing the one that I did. It's just beautiful in every way and was a joy to stitch. So the next one I'm going to do, I know they're probably two beyond this now, but next I'm going to do Hope. So I bought that. I love the, I'm a big fan of arts and crafts movement in home furnishings and art and upholstery and everything. So these colors and the style remind me a lot of arts and crafts movement. So I'm going to do that guy next. Holding it up a long time, because that's what I love when people do. So that I purchased, even though it wasn't specifically a market. The markets are the same that everyone else got. And I also want to do one of these little tiny modernist biscornus, the Dahlia. I think that's just such a beautiful color palette for summer. So that's coming up. That was a recent purchase. I finished a couple of the, I've mentioned before that I have an affinity for Danish Handcraft Guild. It's part of my heritage, so I've stitched a few of those pieces, and I always like to have one going. So I'll show you what I finish. Sorry for saying so much, but I'm next going to do a couple more from the Danish Handcraft Guild, which features many different Danish designers. This one is Elsa Thorder Hansen, and I chose it. And what is, well, I cannot translate that. This is the name of it here. I won't even try to say that, but you probably don't care if you're not Danish. So I loved the blue and green. That's sort of my favorite color palette. And then the Danish flower threads are just so pretty. They're really matte, which I love. I'm not a stitcher with silk. I like, I'm more drawn to matte textures than shiny textures, so I love that about the Danish flower threads. So I'll be doing that one real soon. And also the this is a little Christmas runner, which I just think is so funny, and I want to do it because it's funny. So on each end of the runner are these. It's so sweet. It's families. It looks like just families and Christmas trees, and I think that's so sweet. So sometime between now and Christmas, I'll do that. That's Gerda Bankston, who's I've done before. You'll see. So that's a plan. Also, I don't know. I'm gonna take a drink. So good. Maybe that's what people don't like, that I'm having a beer on camera. I don't know. Okay, next. I don't know what I was gonna say there. Oh, I was gonna say I wasn't gonna do Mania. I'm not a joiner of things like that because I get kind of overwhelmed, and then I sort of get away from just my own little non-rotation. But I realized I love watching people do it. I'm just as excited as if I were doing it, because it's so much fun to watch everybody be so enthusiastic, and of course the pictures are wonderful. But then I started thinking, well, I have all these things in line. Maybe I should just do it. But see, I'm a gritter, and I don't know if I can get all those things gridded up before May 1st. So it usually takes me an evening to grid a large project. Sometimes it'll go on into a second if, something happens or I'm slow. So, and I know it's time consuming, but for me, it saves a lot of time later on, because once you grid, you virtually don't make any mistakes. And it's not due to talent, it's just that it's all right there in front of you, so you just don't make mistakes. So I feel like I can save the time on the front end and not lose it on the back end. So, but anyway, I don't know if I have enough evenings to grid a bunch of projects before Stitch Mania, but I do have the project. So the next that I might do for Mania is the Houses of... I wanted to do a Hawk Run Hollow for a very long time. Again, I may be the last stitcher not to have done one, but it's funny because there are a lot of designs that I like better than houses. Not better, but they're just probably more varied and interesting. But I love the morbid little poem on this one. That death poetry and death inscriptions are just so comforting to me. I love those. I don't know. It's just, brother, sisterhood of man. None of us know what's going to happen when we die, even though some people pretend they do. And I feel like that kind of death poetry that's on in a lot of samplers and a lot of tombstone kind of art, I just think it just kind of, it's peaceful. It's like, yeah, we're all headed there, but it's okay. It's okay. So those are some purchases that were spurred on by market, even though they weren't market purchases. So it was kind of like an avalanche after I listened to that podcast. I bought all the market things, and then I've just kind of kept buying, which is not good, but oh well. Let's see. Finishes. I'll show you finishes now. Also, I apologize. I know we're not supposed to apologize, but I do apologize for not always looking into the camera. I record on my phone, and it is really difficult for me. I don't know how anybody does it, but for me, it's really difficult to look in that tiny pinhole in the phone. So I look at the other human in the room, which is me, and I know that means that I'm not making eye contact, but whatevs. Okay, so here are my finishes since the last time. At least I have that. Let's see. I think I might have explained last time that I'm doing a couple pieces from the Danish Handcraft Guild. My maternal grandparents came from Denmark in the early 20th century. And I've done, in the last year or so, quite a bit of research and found out a lot of wonderful things about that part of my family. So but I've always loved Danish Handcraft Guild pieces, and I found a couple that were kind of particular to what I remember of my grandparents. My grandparents were alive until after I had my first child, so I was very fortunate there. And so I found a couple of tiny pieces from Danish Handcraft Guild, and I don't have my whiteboard to put behind these pieces. So my grandma's name was Kitty. Actually, I found out it was Ketty, but when she came in through Ellis Island, she changed it to Kitty. And so I did this is by Ida Winkler, who, oh shoot, I'm so sorry I didn't have, here, see if that works. So I do remember, she was born in 1904, as it says there. I added her initials and her birth year. I remember one photo of her in a costume like that with her sister, Ingeborg, before she came to the U.S. And she loved Tivoli Gardens, and a wonderful stitcher informed me that the dancers on the my lower left are Harlequin and Columbine from the Nutcracker, but apparently they are recurring characters in Tivoli Garden Park in Copenhagen. And there's always a ballet that revolves around them, yearly. So, Kitty's done. And then even tinier is Pete. Sven Peter was my grandfather. Of course, I added that personal information. He grew up on a farm, and he had a plow horse whom he loved, named either Barney or Bonnie. Because when I was a little girl, I couldn't quite figure his accent, so I don't know who that was. But I found this. This is Gerda Bangster. What is it? Bengtson? So these are so small, you guys. Here's a pen. So I have no idea how I'm going to finish these, but I'll figure that out with the help of Monica Pratt at Welcome Stitchery. That's my LNS. She is the most wonderful finisher, and we'll figure it out together. So I really enjoyed doing those. Of course, they're with Danish flower thread, which was fun to work with. On the current piece that I started, I'm back to 2 strands of DMC, and it's so nice. After I love working with two strands. I know that a lot of people like one because, of course, it's easier. You don't have to mess with laying 2 strands, but I just love the fullness of 2 strands. But anyway, the Danish flower thread is so pretty and rustic and matte, which I love. So those are really fun projects. The other finish I had was also from the Songbird Garden series. And I know many people have done this. This was with Weeks Dye Works threads, which were also beautiful to work with. I had a little trouble at the beginning. This is on 36 count, something or other. I don't remember what. It was kind of knotty, but when I got better at handling it, that wasn't really a problem. So I'm really happy with the way it came out. I like the blotchiness on the leaves. I think that it works on the leaves, but what I realized, I love always how we learn things from our projects. What I learned from that is that with hand dyes, I think that I actually will prefer, or have preferred and will continue to prefer, working, what is it, Danish method, all the forward legs one way and then coming back all the backward legs together, over English, 1 stitch at a time, because I prefer a mottled look over a blotchy and ultimately stripy look. I think I like a more sort of integrated and heathered look. So while that worked, I think that worked really beautifully on those leaves. If you can see, it's not really photographing with my very sophisticated equipment, but trust me, it looks really pretty, like a leaf does when it begins to discolor, in sort of chunks. But I think I would rather have a more mottled look throughout. So, yeah, so that's what I learned about that, from that project. Let's have a sip. You guys, I was telling Kyle, I think acting would be real easy for me because I'd have someone else's words to speak. But when it comes to speaking my own words, oh my gosh, this is awful. And I seem to have lost my page. So next, I will talk about what I'm working on now. I'm still, disappointingly, for FlossTube purposes at least, kind of a one project at a time stitcher. I hate to say monogamous. It sounds so, I don't know. It sounds like monotonous, and I don't feel it's that way at all. But when I get going on a project, I just want to see it grow, and I want to see it finished. So as much as I have all those things ahead of me that are like, oh, I'm going crazy to start them, I also want to see this thing finished too. So right now I'm working on Rosewood Manor's Music Among the Trees. Again, it's not a new one, but it's one that I've wanted to do for a long time. The quote, and I looked up the poet, she was a 19th century poet, I think. Her name is French and I can't pronounce it. There is always music amongst the trees in the garden, but our hearts must be very quiet to hear it. I love, love, love the birds in the real stylized canopy. I just think this is so pretty. I'm doing it in the called for threads, which are, well, I'm not doing it in the silk. I'm not really a silk, I'm sorry for the noise. I'm not really a stitcher with silks. I prefer, as I've said ad nauseum, a matte finish. So silks are kind of shiny, and so I stick to cotton, DMC, and of course fancy flosses too. On this, I'm using the DMC because this particular, well, so unprepared. This particular chart has some of my very favorite DMC colors, and I just couldn't pass them by. So I pulled all hand dyeds, and then I was like, oh yeah, they're beautiful and variegated, but I need those colors. So this again probably won't show. So the DMC, among the DMCs in this are 3685. I mean, oh yeah, that looks just brighter. It's like a deep, beautiful, true cranberry. 3803. Yeah, not so good. 924, which is like a beautiful teal, just like a true teal in the old sense. Now people kind of refer to turquoise as teal. This is darker. And one of many beloved greens, 937. You're gonna have to look at your own flosses. Anyway, with 4 colors that are my favorites, I just couldn't switch. So I had started it on Belfast 32 count, of course, flax, which is a ground fabric I pretty much always love. It's a mid-tone neutral, but a lot of the mid-tone flosses were not showing up on it, so I restarted it again on, ooh, antique white called for. Oh, wow, that is so bright. There we go. It's really not, it's not that bright. So just the few colors I've used was just one branch and a bird. The colors are really popping more on this. So that's what I'm using. And yes, I have stands, scroll frames, Q-snaps, which I all use. But lately I'm having some stiffness problems, and I find that sitting at my table with a hoop, this will only be interesting to old stitchers. I can move around a little bit more while I'm stitching, and it just works better. I don't get stiff. So my preferred hoop is the Susan Bates plastic hoop. It has to be is it Susan Bates? Yeah, I think that's the name. Can't be like the store brands from, what is that brand? From Hobby Lobby. It can't be those. It has to be I order them from 123. I've used the Hardwick Manor. I've used those other ones where you have a double hoop and legs between. I can't remember the name of those. I've used the more expensive ones. I've used wooden ones. These Susan Bates with the lip and the perfect tightening screw are the best for me. And I do take up my excess and use a quilting, a brass. Is there a way to, people always do that. I don't know what that does. Anyway, it's a brass quilting pin, and I hold my fabrics, and the leg of the pin just goes between the fibers, and so that's how I do it. It's slow, but you know, that's my job here, to be slow. So the last planned project, my My husband and I are next year in 2020, we'll have our 45th wedding anniversary, and I've been thinking a while about doing a project for that. So I've come across quite a few. Of course, the first one that I had semi-decided on was from For Some Real Long Dog Samplers. It's this one down here, which is just so beautiful and elegant. So that one was kind of, you know, on the burner, and I thought that would be it. And then later I saw Two Angry Birds, Teresa, Shakespeare's Peddler, which everybody knows about. And I loved that one and thought it was a more realistic view of marriage. But then I was thinking, well, I don't know. I don't want to know if I want to summarize 45 years with angry birds. We have our angry times, but we're still here. So so that one was on a burner, medium to back. And then when it was released, I came to Birds to the Bows, Lindy Stitches, Stephanie, and I knew that that was it. So that is the one. As birds are fitted to the boughs, so was my love to me, which is true on so many levels in a long-term relationship. And that means, you know, fitted to the boughs in the lovely romantic early times, and then also later when you're kind of a couple of geezers and you just let each other live and give each other space. And so this is the one I'll be starting very soon to eventually finish in time. I mean, there should be no problem in time for our 45th. So, hey, look at this Bitsy Bob doing her thing down there. I'm at my kitchen table tonight because this is where I stitch. This is my stitching spot. We don't have an extra room. So, yeah, I'll link Kelly too down there. Not that she needs my help. Okay, looks like that's everything. I had more notes somewhere. Oh, I can see the dislikes coming in now. Finishes, plans. I have a bunch of questions for you guys tonight, and then I do have a giveaway, but I have questions for you. So I'd love your input on some issues that have come along. I would like to, hold on. Sorry. I would like to design a sampler, a personal sampler, but I have no idea how to do that. What I have is a quote that I want to build it around from an old Todd Rundgren song. You gotta be old to even know him. So I have a verse that I want to use, but I don't know. I don't know how to do this. I'd like to put in elements of our lives that are important, but I don't know how to execute them. So if anyone's ever done that, designed a personal or a family sampler yourself from God knows where, I'd love to hear your input on that and your insight. So that is one question. The next is I have completely lost control of my FlossTube watching. There are so many FlossTubers, and I just I love them all, and I learned something from everyone, and just feel so warm and happy from watching everyone. But especially the really long ones, I don't have time. I don't know how anyone has time. So I've tried, putting them all in a line and speeding them up. And I don't really like that, because you sort of lose the essence of what the people are. If you speed them up, it's just all chipmunk talk and great funny giggling. And I've tried, so I'm thinking that my next strategy might be that I take the short ones. I can go through quite a few in an evening of stitching, but the ones that are, an hour or more than an hour long, I don't know what to do about them. So right now I'm just putting them in another list and doing kind of a batting order. When I watch one really long one, that person goes to the bottom of the batting order, and then I'll miss the next 2 or 3 or 4 that person does, because I'm working my way through others. So I'd love to hear what people do about their FlossTube watching. And I have one shout out. I mean, I have 50 shout outs, but I think I'm just going to do one at a time, because again, it's overwhelming. And I mean, that's the best kind of overwhelming. How lucky are we to have this community? Just so lucky. Jules from Stitching Jules, I think is her channel, has compiled a list, and it's an ever-growing list of FlossTubers, which I don't know if anyone's done before, but no one's done it that I've seen. So if you go to Stitching Jules or Stitchin' Jules, she's such a sweet, wonderful person to watch anyway. She lives in Colorado. She does a lot of Ronnie Rowe, which is mind-blowing. She does huge pieces, generally. I don't think she does anything small. She's a veterinarian. She has 7 dogs, which are adorable, darling wonders. And she, among all that stuff, she is also compiling an ongoing list of FlossTubers. So if you look her up on YouTube, I think that the list is actually on her blog, but on FlossTube she talks about it. That's Stitchin' Jules, Jules. Okay, I have I think that's it for me. Yeah, I have a giveaway. I hope someone's interested in it. I have, oh, there was another thing I wanted to ask everyone. If you could, Easter's coming. I would love to know, I'm hosting Easter, and while I have recipes, I would love to hear how you celebrate Easter, and if you have a favorite Easter recipe. I would love you to share either just what it is, just a description, or if there's a link to a recipe, or if you have a brief recipe you can put in the comments. I would love ideas for an Easter menu. So that's that. My giveaway, even though we can't say that word, I have several of these Stitch People, I hope someone's interested in these, the Stitch People books where, there are just, I can't show the charts, but they're thick books, as you can see. And I wonder if there is a page I can show that just shows them. Nope, they're all charts. They're customized people by occupations and hobbies. Do it yourself. Well, this is a huge compilation of many different themes. This is Stitch People Farm Animals. So these are pretty invaluable if you're making up a little sort of a modernist design. If anyone would like these, I'd be happy to send all 3 of these to one person. What can you answer? Yeah, just say, I would like the Stitch People. That's all. Don't say giveaway, be over 18, all the stuff. I think, let me look at my list. I think that's it. And I'm 40 minutes. I'm getting long like the people I'm complaining about. I'm not complaining. I just love every damn FlossTuber so much, and I just want to watch everyone. But I'd have to do it 24 hours a day. So, also when I'm stitching, I don't comment because I've got a sort of a goofy rigged up system here at my table. So, if you're seeing this, I'm watching you, and I really love all FlossTubers. Everyone who makes FlossTube videos says this, and it's just so true. Like, the feeling for this community is, and our diversity is just so exceptional. And I'm so thankful I happened upon this community. So happy stitching, everyone. And I'll see you sometime. And hopefully before StitchCon, because I'm going to StitchCon this year. And hopefully next time I'll have Sarah with me, my daughter, who is the better half of this group. So love you all. Bye-bye.